afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, as more revelations on the case emerge, relatives of the missing sabongeros troop to the Justice Department to demand answers. The country's inflation rate picks up in June, snapping a 4-month down streak. U.S. President Donald Trump gets his first big legislative win as Congress passes his spending bill. And in her actress era, Catriona Gray flexes her acting chops in a promotional video for Jurassic World Rebirth. Thanks for joining us. The Justice Department gets hold of a USB stick allegedly containing damning evidence against gaming tycoon Atong Ang. This is just one of many revelations made by a whistleblower in the missing sabongeros case. Joash Malimban tells us more.
Gaming tycoon Charlie Atong Ang and celebrity Gretchen Barreto are now considered suspects in the case of the missing sabongeros. That announcement from Justice Secretary Boying Remulla as whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan, aka Totoy, reveals more details on their alleged involvement in the disappearances. In an exclusive interview with Billionaire News Channel's Agenda, Totoy said that Barreto has first-hand knowledge of Ang's illegal operations. He urges Barreto to instead join him in testifying against Ang.
Minsan, 24 hours, magkasama yan sila sa isang kwarto, magkatabi pa. So, lahat ng sikreto, binibulgar din ni Mr. Atong Ang kay Gretchen Barreto. Kaya ang pakiusap ko kay Ma'am Gretchen, Ma'am, ngayon, makipagtulungan ka na lang sa akin. Tumayo ka na rin na bilang isang witness. Dahil alam mo naman lang mga pangyayari at kwinikwinto mo naman sa'yo lagi yan.
On Thursday, Ang officially filed his complaint affidavit against Totoy and an Alan Bantiles or alias Brown. This comes after Totoy's statements implicating Ang as one of the masterminds of the missing sabongeros operations. Ang slammed Totoy, claiming he had no involvement whatsoever in the disappearance of over 30 sabongeros, all of which are already dead and dumped in Taal Lake according to Totoy. He added that Totoy, Brown, and an alias Sapon planned to kidnap and murder him.
Doon, mag-isip ka doon. Kung ano man ang mga... huwag ka na magsinungaling. Tinuring kita parang anak ko eh. Hindi ko alam na ganyan kakasama. Pati ako, papatayin mo pa, kikidnapin mo pa ako.
Totoy countered and said that he had already submitted copies of pieces of evidence to the Philippine National Police and the Department of Justice.
Pinky, katulad niyang sa San Pablo, yung si John Lasco, buti na lang yung USB na yon na binigay sa akin ng isang kernel na sinabi ni Mr. Atong Ang sa akin na sunugin mo, pero napag-isip ako at tinabi ko talaga yon. Gawa ng nung magkasama kami noon sa isang helicopter, tatlo kami niyan, kasama yung piloto, ako, si Celso Salazar at saka si Mr. Atong Ang. Nung pagdating namin doon sa may Batangas, sa may dagat, nadulas siya, naikwento niya, dito ko nilubog yung tao ko dati, nakatulad kay Dondon.
He added that Ang even tried to reach out to him a week ago to clear things up as to not let the situation go even more out of hand.
Dahil kausap ko siya, nung nagmamakawa na siya sa akin, nagtitik siya sa akin na parang 7 days ago, nagtitik siya sa akin na mag-usap daw kami sa isang hotel, ayusin na namin at hirap na daw sa kalagayan niya.
Totoy revealed that he decided to speak up against Ang after learning that he wants him and his family dead for knowing too much about Ang's operations. Totoy claimed Ang placed a 50 million peso bounty on his head. Totoy is yet to submit his official affidavit as he awaits the final needed documents for a strong case build-up against Ang and his cohorts. Joash Malimban, Billionaire News Channel.
In other news, the Philippines and Canada moving to deepen ties. President Bongbong Marcos says he had a very good phone call with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. They discussed ways on how to strengthen cooperation in trade and defense and agreed on the importance of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Marcos also thanked Carney for Canada's swift assistance to the Filipino community in Vancouver after the tragic car ramming incident in a Pinoy festival last April. Carney also invited Marcos to visit Canada. We return to the case of the missing sabongeros as more revelations from witnesses emerge. Relatives of the victims trooped to the Justice Department's office to demand updates on the probe. Hannah T joins us now from there for the details. Hannah, what can you tell us?
More and more families are arriving here at the DOJ following the statement of Justice Secretary Boying Remulla that Atong Ang and Gretchen Barreto may be included as suspects of the missing sabongeros case. Among them, of course, the family of a master agent in Sabong. Even after so many years of being a nurse, Lolit, a sister of a missing sabongero, did not prepare herself for the pain of losing a brother.
Di ko nga matanggap. Ako nga sanay na nakakita ng mga taong patay kasi sa hospital ako na. Pero iba yung kapatid. Iba yung nangyari sa kanya.
Her brother John Lasco was last seen in their home in Laguna in August 2021. He was a master agent in the Sabong industry, one of many who disappeared at the height of online cockfighting operations. Until now, no one has been held accountable, and the family continues to live the weight of the unknown.
Every second. Walang dugtong ng hininga ko. Kahit na isang paghinga ko, nandyan siya. Lalo pa ngayon, mahirap mga anak. Kahit sabihin niyang mag-move on ka na.
The family says they were never silenced, but in 2022, after a Senate hearing on the missing sabongeros, they were approached by Atong Ang. The encounter happened at the Senate in March of that year. Ang was recently named as one of the alleged suspects in the disappearance of cockfighters.
Nagsabi na siya na, andyan pala si Mami. Lumapit siya sa nanay ko and ano ang kailangan? Kailangan ba niya ng mga any medications, medicines, hospitalization? Akong bahala. Bigyan ng kabuhayan, ng negosyo.
Their mother's only response, bring back my son.
After 4 years, nandun na pala sa harap ng nanay ko. Hinawakan pa siya, binati pa siya.
Now the family wants those involved to speak up. They're calling on actress Gretchen Barreto to come forward and prove she has nothing to hide.
Kung wala silang kinalaman, magsabi sila ng totoo. Yun lang, para matahimik tayo lahat. Gusto lang namin na magkaroon ng hustisya yung kapatid ko, matagpuan siya, buto na siya, kung ano man.
John's other sister, Cha, said the struggle has been long and lonely. She says the case was repeatedly ignored even under the previous administration when most of the abductions took place.
It happened during the time of Duterte. Alam mo yung kaso namin, walang pumapansin.
As for Barreto, Cha says she can't believe someone like Gretchen, known for her beauty, could be involved in something like this. The Lasco sisters add, where do Ang and Barreto get the audacity to do this?
Hindi ko alam kung saan siya kumukuha ng lakas na hindi siya na-bother. Na itong mga taong maliliit na minsan naging parte ng WPC at minsan nagpayaman sa kanila at karamihan ng tumataya mahihirap, di ba?
Barreto has yet to release her statement. Mai Cha, the sister of John Lasco, earlier said they've been in close contact with the Justice Department regarding the case since 2021, and we just finished an interview with Justice Secretary Boying Remulla at pareho rin yung sinabi niya, he said hindi nila titigilan itong kaso na ito, and as of now they're still inside the Justice Hall with some DOJ staff and officials. Mai?
Hannah, so far, how many families have arrived there? At nakausap na ba nila si Justice Secretary Remulla?
Mai, we don't have an exact number of the families yet, pero from what we saw earlier, there were about 30 individuals of obviously family members ito nung mga biktima ng missing sabongeros case. Pero ayon kay Justice Secretary Boying Remulla, nandun pa sa loob yung mga pamilya, hindi pa niya personally nakakausap, pero maya-maya babalik din si Sec Boying para makausap itong pamilya. Mai?
And of course, Hannah, the Justice Secretary cannot exactly divulge what exactly the damning evidence that they have right now. But do you have updates on the case itself, on the missing sabongeros case?
Yes, Mai. Actually, Remulla said ang latest development ay ang pag-confirm niya ng 15 PNP personnel na now under restrictive custody of their alleged involvement doon sa kaso. And kanina rin nabanggit ni Justice Secretary Remulla na si alias Totoy ay under PNP custody, although we have to confirm kung ano pa yung mga other details na kaya niyang i-share sa atin. Pero sabi niya, Remulla said, the investigation is moving toward the filing of charges against these policemen. Dahil nang tinanong natin siya, ano ba yung involvement nitong mga pulis na ito? He said, involved daw sila doon sa execution noong mga nangyaring abduction. Back to you, Mai.
Hana, a final question, may timeline ba sila doon sa kailan mismo yung filing of charges?
So far, Mai, wala pang timeline, and also natanong din natin yung doon sa retrieval operations because some family members are requesting na makasama sila doon sa kung sakaling magkakaroon na nga ng retrieval operations sa Taal Lake. Pero sabi ni Justice Secretary Remulla, darating naman doon yung pag-uusapan, pero as of now wala pang timeline na nasi-share si Remulla. Mai?
All right, thank you. Hana T reporting to us live from the DOJ office in Manila. The U.S. reaffirms its support for the Philippines ahead of the 9th anniversary of the arbitral ruling that invalidated China's sweeping claims in the South China Sea. We have details from Francis Folve.
Confident that both sides are working very hard.
U.S. Ambassador to Manila, Mary Kay Carlson, is unsurprised by the U.S. Congress' plan to establish an ammunition production facility in America's former naval base in Subic, Zambales. In an interview on the sidelines of the U.S. Independence Day celebration in Manila, Carlson recalled a recent meeting between U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Secretary Gibo Chodoro.
You all will recall, I think, that when Secretary of Defense Hegseth was here, we talked about with Secretary Teodoro in their joint statement, our prospects for enhancing our defense industrial cooperation through potentially co-production here in the Philippines. So I'm not surprised, given the very strong bipartisan support for the Philippines in the U.S. Congress, that they're also looking at ways that we can continue to enhance U.S.-Philippine defense cooperation here in the Philippines.
Reports say the U.S. House Committee on Appropriations ordered federal agencies in charge of defense foreign policy to assess the feasibility of establishing a joint ammunition manufacturing and storage facility in Subic Bay. Secretary Chodoro welcomes this plan, but he says there has been no formal proposal about this to his knowledge. He further says, if the plan pushes through, the ammunition facility will be beneficial not just for Manila and Washington, but to other countries in the Indo-Pacific region as well.
Any production dito na makakatulong sa technological transfer, empleo, revenue, dito nga gagawin is welcome. At lalo-lalo na pag meron tayong sustainability portion na magagamit natin ang produkto.
This comes as President Bongbong Marcos aims to strengthen the country's military capabilities in light of China's aggressive actions in the West Philippine Sea. On July 12, the Philippines will commemorate the 9th anniversary of the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal Award. Carlson reiterates Washington's support for the ruling.
We are continue to be ardent supporters of the Philippines with regard to promoting freedom of navigation and rule of law and international law of the sea. So absolutely, we're here to support the Philippines on the remarkable 9-year anniversary of this very important group.
The Arbitral Tribunal Award invalidated China's sweeping claim in the region on historical basis. Beijing rejects the ruling and continues to criticize the U.S. for its supposed interference in the territorial and regional dispute. Francis Polbe, Bellionario News Channel.
The country's inflation rate snaps a 4-month slowdown. Let's get the details from Sujin Kim, who joins us live from the Philippine Statistics Authority in Quezon City. Sujin, go ahead.
Mai, inflation in the Philippines accelerated slightly to 1.4% in June from 1.3% in May, ending a 4-month streak of decline. While overall inflation remains low compared to previous years, surging costs in electricity and education services drove the increase, suggesting household budgets are far from relieved. Metro Manila saw a sharper rise, with inflation accelerating to 2.6% from 1.7%, primarily due to higher housing and utility costs. By contrast, areas outside the capital experienced a slight slowdown to 1.1% thanks to flat food prices. Core inflation, which strips out volatile food and energy items, stayed put at 2.2% for the 4th straight month. Food inflation continued to plunge to just 0.1%, led by a record negative 14.3% drop in rice prices, the sharpest since 1995. This historic deflation, DepDev says, was driven by government interventions which temporarily offset rising costs in other essentials like meat, particularly pork, fish, particularly alumahan, cooking oil, and fruits, particularly mangoes. For the poorest 30% of Filipino households, inflation turned negative at negative 0.4%, a rare breather due to declines in prices of rice, corn, vegetables, and sugar. The central bank expects inflation to remain below the 2% target for most of 2025, but warns of emerging threats including geopolitical conflicts in the Middle East, oil price spikes, and U.S. trade policy uncertainty. The BSP now signals that a more accommodative monetary policy stance is warranted amid slowing global demand and domestic growth. The government touts interventions like the Swine Industry Recovery Project, fuel discounts for public transport, and the upcoming Onion Research Center as safeguards against future price spikes. But experts warn that climate shocks, volatile commodity markets, and structural supply gaps could derail these gains. And those are latest updates from Quezon City. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Sujin Kim, reporting live from the PSA headquarters. A tropical depression off Cagayan slightly intensifies. Weather Bureau Pag-asa has raised signal number 1 in many areas in northern Luzon. Paulo Barcelon joins us from the Pag-asa headquarters for the latest. Paulo, how is Bising going to affect us this weekend?
Mai, good afternoon. The center of Tropical Depression Bising was estimated at 280 kilometers west-northwest of Calayan, Cagayan as of 11 a.m. this morning. Maximum sustained winds of 55 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 70 kilometers per hour are expected. Now, right now, signal number 1 is raised in several areas in the northernmost part of the country, including the western portion of Babuyan Islands, the western portion of Ilocos Norte, and the northwestern portion of Ilocos Sur. Now, some areas are also advised for gale force gusts such as the rest of Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Isabela, the northern portion of Aurora, Zambales, Occidental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, Palawan, and Antique. Now, the tropical depression Bising is located right now still well within the Philippine area of responsibility, but it is expected to exit later this afternoon. However, Pag-asa does not discount the possibility of the tropical depression becoming a tropical storm and eventually re-entering the Philippines this weekend and also exiting again on Monday. As for its effects on the weekend, specifically here in Metro Manila, we are expecting at least good weather over the weekend, and but still, rainfall advisories are still expected well within the central Luzon and the Ilocos region, as well as the Region 2 areas of the country. So Pag-asa is still closely monitoring events, especially when it comes to the dams that have been opened. We have reports of a dam opening already one of its gates, such as the Ambuklao Dam, which opened one of its gates at 10 o'clock this morning. This means some areas in the barangays of Ambuklao and Bukod in Benguet might experience flooding due to the opening of the dam. So we are still closely monitoring the effects of this weather disturbance, albeit it's far from a lot of areas in northern Luzon. This, as well as Habagat and other localized thunderstorms, can still affect different parts of the country, Mai.
All right, thank you for that report. Paulo Barcelon from the Pag-asa headquarters. A grand signing at the White House of President Donald Trump's so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. Trump has invited all members of the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate as he signs the tax cut and spending bill this Friday, just in time for the July 4 Independence Day holiday. With the measure passed, Trump says the people of the United States of America will be richer, safer, and prouder than ever before. The legislation cleared its final hurdle on Thursday, with the White House narrowly passing it by a 218 to 214 vote.
I think a lot of the estimations about what this legislation would do in a negative manner to communities in my state or any other are far overblown. I can tell you that this bill is going to be a great thing for everybody around the country, my constituents especially. What's good for Louisiana is good for America. We've got great tax policy here. I think they're going to feel this pretty quickly. Wages will rise. I think household income will go up. I think the job participation rate will increase dramatically. I think unemployment will be low.
Every Democrat in Congress voted against the bill, saying it will only benefit the wealthy while leaving millions uninsured. The spending cuts largely come from Medicaid, the health program that covers 71 million low-income Americans. Still in the U.S., as a Democrat senator calls for a probe into the $16 million settlement between President Trump and Paramount. The entertainment giant has agreed to settle a legal dispute where Trump alleged its affiliate CBS deceptively edited an interview with election rival Kamala Harris. This is supposedly meant to tip the scales in favor of the Democratic Party. The suit was described by Trump's critics as an attack on press freedom. But Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren wants a full investigation on possible bribery. She says the settlement comes at a time Paramount needs the Trump administration's approval for a $1 billion merger. We're taking a break. Up ahead, Filipino basketball star Kevin Kiambao pursues his NBA dream. That and more when Newsfeed at Noon returns. Victory for Gilas Pilipinas women after a rocky start in the 2025 William Jones Cup in Taiwan. The women's national basketball team shut down Thailand in Taipei 83-66. Gilas women used a strong second-half surge to bounce back after losing earlier to Chinese Taipei. Up next for Gilas women is South Korea on Saturday, July 5. Meanwhile, the Philippines is set to host the FIBA Women's Asia Cup in 2027. The country last hosted a continental event in 2013 where Gilas Pilipinas men scored a historic upset against South Korea to make it to the World Cup. Filipino basketball star Kevin Kiambao is chasing his NBA dream. The former LaSalle King Archer is now in Sacramento, California to undergo personal training as he explores opportunities to join an NBA Summer League team. In an IG post, KQ expressed his gratitude to those who supported his journey. Should his NBA bid fall short, Kiambao is expected to return to the Goyang Sono Sky Gunners in the Korean Basketball League. Sad news in entertainment. Veteran showbiz columnist and talent manager Lolit Solis has passed away. She was 78 years old. The news was confirmed by actor Nino Mulak on social media. Known for her sharp wit and sometimes controversial take on issues, Solis revealed her battle with kidney disease in 2023 and had been undergoing dialysis for nearly 3 years. She earlier said she would be leaving social media and instead focus on her semi-retired life. Our very own Catriona Gray in her actress era. The Miss Universe 2018 appeared in a promotional video for the new film Jurassic World Rebirth. The clip shows Catriona herself in the world of dinosaurs. It was shot at the movie's exact filming locations in Thailand. Catriona also joined an exclusive group of guests for a junket for Jurassic World Rebirth. The film is now showing in Philippine cinemas. And before we go, a Filipino film about the country's waters just made waves halfway across the world. Food delivery, fresh from the West Philippine Sea, took home the Tides of Change Award under the Best Festival category at the 2025 Dock Edge Festival in New Zealand. The documentary by Baby Ruth Vidarama shines a spotlight on the valiant efforts of Filipino fishermen, the Coast Guard, and the Navy to deliver desperately needed food and aid to communities, all while defending their livelihoods and national sovereignty in the contested waters. Produced by Voyage Studios, the documentary had its world premiere in Auckland last June 30 as part of the Academy Award qualifying film fest. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Stay with the Billionaire News Channel. Good afternoon and happy weekend.